Life is too short to be drained by the wrong people. The ancient Stoics believed in protecting one's peace, energy, and mind. And that starts with saying no to certain types of people. Today, we'll explore 9 types of people you should always avoid, Stoic style. Let's begin. Number 1, the constant complainers. Life is filled with challenges, but how we respond to them defines our character. Some people, however, seem to thrive on negativity. They always have a problem, yet never seek a solution. No matter what happens, whether it rains or shines, whether they succeed or fail, there's always something to complain about. These individuals drain the energy of those around them and rarely take action to improve their circumstances. Why are complainers dangerous to your growth? At first, their complaints may seem harmless, even relatable. You might feel sympathy for their struggles and try to help them see the bright side. But over time, their negativity becomes a habit, one that starts affecting you. Negativity is contagious. Human beings are deeply influenced by those around them. If you constantly listen to complaints, you may find yourself mirroring their mindset, looking for flaws instead of opportunities. They distract you from solutions. A Stoic mind is focused on solutions and actions, not dwelling on problems. Complainers, however, tend to stay stuck in the problem, endlessly discussing what's wrong without ever making an effort to fix it. They drain your energy. Engaging with chronic complainers is exhausting. Their words and attitude can leave you feeling frustrated, anxious, or even hopeless, emotions that a Stoic seeks to master. They encourage a victim mentality. Stoicism teaches self-responsibility and resilience. Complainers, on the other hand, often blame external factors, bad luck, unfair systems, or other people for their struggles. Associating with them too much can weaken your own sense of control over your life. What does Stoicism teach us about complaining? The ancient Stoics believed in focusing only on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and responses. Complaining achieves none of these. It keeps us trapped in problems rather than working towards solutions. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic approach to problems is simple. Acknowledge the issue. See reality for what it is, without exaggeration or denial. Determine what is in your control. What can you change? What action can you take? Accept what you cannot control. If the problem is beyond your influence, let it go. Complaining about it is pointless. How to deal with constant complainers. If you want to live a Stoic life, you must learn to handle these negative influences wisely. Here's how. 1. Recognize them early. Some people complain occasionally. This is normal. But chronic complainers have a pattern. They talk about the same problems repeatedly without ever taking action. They rarely listen to advice, and even when solutions are offered, they find reasons why those solutions won't work. Once you recognize someone as a chronic complainer, Be mindful of how much time and energy you invest in them. Set boundaries. You don't have to be rude or cut someone off completely, but you should set limits on how much negativity you allow into your life. If a conversation keeps circling back to complaints, politely steer it in a different direction or excuse yourself. For example, if someone keeps complaining about their job but refuses to look for a new one, you could say, "I understand your frustration, but let's focus on what you can do to improve the situation." If they resist and keep complaining, step away. Protect your peace. Lead by example. The best way to counter negativity is by being a living example of Stoic principles. When faced with problems, demonstrate a mindset of action and acceptance. Show how focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on problems leads to a better life. Over time, some complainers may notice your mindset and be inspired to change. However, others will continue their ways. Accept that you cannot change them, only yourself. Don't argue or try to fix them. One of the greatest mistakes you can make is trying to fix a complainer. You might think that by offering advice or logic, you can help them see a better way. But the truth is, most chronic complainers don't want solutions. They want validation for their negativity. Arguing with them or trying to change their mindset will only frustrate you. Instead, let them be as they are and choose not to engage. Walk away when necessary. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Sometimes, the best decision is simply to distance yourself from negativity. If someone's complaints start affecting your own minds, number 2, the manipulators. Not everyone who enters your life has good intentions. Some people twist words, play mind games, and use guilt or deception to get what they want. They manipulate emotions, create confusion, and make you question your own judgment. If you're not careful, they will drain your energy and steer you away from your true path. A Stoic mind, however, remains firm. It recognizes manipulation for what it is and sets clear boundaries. Why are manipulators dangerous? Manipulators are subtle. They don't always use obvious lies or aggression. Instead, they work through psychological tactics that can make you feel responsible for their actions or guilty for saying no. Their goal is to control you, whether for personal gain, emotional power, or validation. Here's why they are particularly harmful. They distort reality. Manipulators excel at twisting facts. They may deny things they've said or done, making you question your memory. This is known as gaslighting, a tactic that makes you doubt your own perceptions. They exploit emotions, whether through guilt, fear, or even affection. Manipulators know how to push the right buttons to get what they want. They make you feel responsible for their happiness or success, even when it has nothing to do with you. They drain your mental and emotional energy. Dealing with manipulation is exhausting. Instead of focusing on your goals, you spend time justifying yourself, overthinking conversations, or trying to fix things. They undermine your confidence. Over time, manipulators make you second-guess your decisions. They erode your sense of self-trust, making it easier for them to control you. What does Stoicism teach us about manipulation? The Stoics believed in self-control, reason, and emotional discipline. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Manipulators try to control others. A Stoic, on the other hand, only focuses on what they can control, their own actions, emotions, and thoughts. Instead of engaging in mind games, Stoics stay grounded in truth and logic. Here's how Stoicism helps counter manipulation. Recognizing the difference between perception and reality. Manipulators use illusions and half-truths to confuse you. A Stoic seeks objective reality, free from distortions. Maintaining emotional balance. Manipulators thrive on emotional reactions. A Stoic remains calm, making it harder for them to gain control. Setting firm boundaries. A Stoic doesn't allow external influences to dictate their inner peace. When manipulation is recognized, a Stoic distances themselves. How to identify a manipulator. A manipulator's tactics can be subtle or aggressive. Here are some warning signs. Guilt tripping. They make you feel bad for not doing what they want. Examples include, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? If you really cared about me, you'd say yes. Stoic response. You are not responsible for someone else's emotions. If your decision is reasonable, stick to it. Gaslighting. They deny facts or twist events to make you doubt yourself. I never said that. You must be imagining things. You're overreacting, it wasn't that bad. Stoic response. Trust your reasoning. Keep records if necessary. If someone constantly makes you question reality, step away. Playing the victim. They avoid responsibility and blame others for their problems. It's not my fault. You made me do it. You always make me feel like the bad guy. Stoic response. Recognize emotional manipulation. Don't take blame for things beyond your control. How to deal with manipulators like a Stoic. Stay grounded. In logic, manipulators thrive on emotional reactions. When faced with their tactics, take a deep breath and analyze the situation rationally. Ask yourself, what are the facts? Am I being guilt-tripped or pressured? What outcome do they want from me? By approaching the situation with logic, you strip their manipulation of power. Set clear boundaries. Stoicism teaches self-respect. You have the right to say no without guilt. If someone pressures you, say, I've made my decision. If they keep pushing, disengage. A firm no is enough. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary for inner peace. Don't engage in power. Struggles. Manipulators want control. If you argue or try to win, you've already fallen into their game. Instead of fighting back emotionally, stay calm and indifferent. Seneca advised, a good character, when tested, reveals itself in adversity. Stay true to your values, even when provoked. Walk away when necessary. Not every battle is worth fighting. If someone repeatedly manipulates you despite your boundaries, remove them from your life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who uplift, not those who deceive. Number 3, the drama seekers. Life is already full of challenges. There's no need to add unnecessary chaos. Drama seekers, however, seem to live for emotional turmoil. They create problems where none exist, exaggerate minor issues, and drag others into their never-ending cycles of conflict. A Stoic, on the other hand, values inner peace. While drama seekers thrive on emotional outbursts, Stoics thrive on calmness, reason, and self-control. The choice is clear. Distance yourself from unnecessary drama and protect your mental clarity. Who are the drama seekers? Drama seekers come in many forms, but they share common behaviors. They love attention. Whether through gossip, arguments, or exaggerated emotions, they always want to be the center of the story. They turn small issues into crises. A simple misunderstanding becomes a catastrophe. Every minor inconvenience is the worst thing ever. They thrive on conflict. If peace prevails, they get bored. They stir the pot by spreading rumors, creating tension, or provoking arguments. They refuse to take responsibility. Instead of solving problems, they blame others, complain, or play the victim. They drain your energy. Being around them feels exhausting. You might feel like you're constantly pulled into their problems, even when they have nothing to do with you. Why are drama seekers dangerous? It might seem harmless to indulge a drama seeker, but over time, their behavior can be toxic and mentally draining. They distract you from what matters. They undermine your peace of mind. They make you reactive instead of rational. They waste your emotional energy. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Engaging in unnecessary drama goes against this wisdom. Every moment spent in gossip, arguments, or exaggerated emotions is a moment wasted. What does Stoicism teach us about drama? Stoicism values tranquility, self-discipline, and reason. A Stoic does not allow external chaos to disrupt their internal world. Epictetus wisely said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Other words, drama seekers only affect you if you allow them to. How to identify a drama seeker? Some drama seekers are obvious, while others are subtle. Watch for these signs. The gossipers. They spread rumors, share private information, and stir up trouble between others. Did you hear what they said about you? I shouldn't tell you this, but Stoic response: don't engage. Gossip only fuels negativity. Instead, change the subject or walk away. The victims. They always have a tragic story, blaming others for their misfortunes while refusing to take responsibility. Nothing ever goes my way. Everyone is against me. Stoic response. You can empathize without participating. Offer logical advice, and if they ignore it, don't waste your energy. The instigators. They enjoy creating conflict between people, often pretending to be innocent. I just think you should know what they said about you. Why are you mad? I was just joking. Stoic response. Avoid getting defensive. Stay calm and neutral, refusing to take the bait. The overreactors. They turn small inconveniences into massive problems. This is the worst day of my life. I can't believe you would do this to me. Stoic response. Remain composed. Don't match their emotional intensity. Your calmness is your strength. How to handle drama seekers like a Stoic. Don't feed the fire. Drama seekers need reactions to survive. The best way to deal with them? Give them nothing. If they complain, listen without getting emotionally involved. If they provoke you, stay calm and don't respond emotionally. If they gossip, change the subject. By refusing to engage, you take away their power. Set boundaries and walk away. Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. This means choosing who you allow into your life. If someone constantly brings drama, negativity, or chaos, limit your interactions with them. You don't owe anyone your emotional energy. You don't need to justify distancing yourself from toxic people. You can walk away without explaining yourself. Protect your inner peace. The greatest Stoic strength is emotional resilience. Instead of reacting impulsively, train yourself to pause before responding. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Detach emotionally. Don't take things personally. Practice self-discipline. The less you react, the more control you have. Lead by example. Instead of engaging in drama, show others a better way to live. Stay composed, rational, and focused on things that truly matter. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Always say, no to drama seekers, protect your peace. Your mind is your sanctuary. Don't let them disrupt it. Number 4. The envious. Envy poisons the soul. Instead of celebrating success, they resent it. A Stoic distances themselves from envy and focuses on self-improvement. Envy is one of the most destructive emotions that can have a profound impact on our mental well-being and personal growth. The Stoics were particularly aware of the dangers of envy, and their teachings emphasize the importance of overcoming it in order to live a life of virtue and inner peace. Envy, at its core, is a reaction to the perceived success or good fortune of others. It's not just jealousy. Jealousy is the desire to have something that someone else has. Envy, however, is more toxic because it often involves a desire for the other person to lose what they have, or worse, a wish that their success or happiness never happened in the first place. In this segment, we'll dive deeper into why the Stoics saw envy as such a harmful trait, how it poisons our thoughts and actions, and why we should distance ourselves from envious people. We'll also explore how we can cultivate a mindset focused on self-improvement rather than on resenting the success of others. Understanding envy. To begin with, it's important to understand why envy exists. Envy is rooted in comparison. We live in a world that constantly measures our success, happiness, and worth based on how we stack up against others. Social media, advertising, and even social gatherings often highlight what others have achieved, be it wealth, status, beauty, or popularity. When we see someone else succeeding or thriving in an area where we desire success, envy can easily take hold. But this is where Stoicism offers a profound shift in perspective. The Stoics believe that we should not measure our success against others because it is an external factor that we cannot control. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, our happiness and well-being should not be based on how others are doing, but on how we choose to react to the world around us. The Stoics believed in focusing on internal control, not external circumstances, and this is where envy becomes a destructive force. The poisonous nature of envy. The first danger of envy is that it takes up valuable mental and emotional energy. When you are envious of someone, your thoughts are consumed with bitterness, frustration, and resentment. These emotions are exhausting. They prevent you from focusing on your own life goals and growth. You may find yourself fixating on what the other person has or what they have accomplished, instead of using that energy to better yourself or work on your own goals. This is why Stoics distance themselves from envious people. Being around someone who is constantly envious is draining. Their attitude will often bring you down and can make you doubt your own success or feel guilty about your achievements. When you surround yourself with people who resent the success of others, it is difficult to maintain a positive mindset that fosters growth and fulfillment. Additionally, envy leads to feelings of inadequacy. When you compare yourself to others, especially those who have what you desire, it can make you feel like you are less than or not good enough. This false belief in your own inadequacy can create a cycle of self-doubt, making it even harder for you to pursue your own success or happiness. Rather than appreciating your own strengths and abilities, envy focuses your attention on your weaknesses, and this negative self-talk can hold you back. Stoic wisdom on envy. The Stoic approach to envy is straightforward. Distance yourself from it by focusing on what is within your control and not what is outside of it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, put it succinctly in his Meditations when he said, "Do not waste time on what you cannot control." He recognized that other people's actions and successes are beyond our control. To waste time resenting them is to waste time on things that do not contribute to our own growth. Another key Stoic principle that combats envy is the idea of living in accordance with nature. The Stoics believe that each person has their own unique path in life, guided by their circumstances, talents, and choices. Comparing your journey to someone else's is not only futile, but it's also unnatural. You are on your own path, and it's not meant to be identical to anyone else's. When we live in harmony with nature, we recognize that success, happiness, and fulfillment look different for everyone. Envy thrives when we believe there is only one way to be successful, usually the way that someone else is achieving it. Seneca, another important Stoic, also warned about the corrosive effects of envy in his letters. He argued that envying others diminishes our own joy, as we cannot truly celebrate their achievements when we are too busy wishing for their downfall. Instead, Seneca suggested that we should take pleasure in other people's successes and see them as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve ourselves. By changing our perspective and focusing on admiration instead of resentment, we can turn envy into motivation rather than poison. Practicing self-improvement over envy. The Stoics emphasized the importance of focusing on self-improvement, and this is the antidote to envy. When you focus on improving yourself, you shift your attention away from others. Instead of resenting the success of someone else, you look inward, evaluating how you can develop your own skills, expand your knowledge, and become a better version of yourself. Self-improvement in Stoicism is not about external success, but about aligning your actions with your core values. It's about striving to be virtuous, to act with integrity, and to pursue wisdom and understanding. These are the true measures of success in Stoicism, not fame, fortune, or popularity. By setting personal goals based on your own values rather than societal expectations, you free yourself from the burden of comparison. Furthermore, when you make self-improvement your priority, you start to see the success of others not as a threat, but as a source of inspiration. You realize that someone else's achievements do not take away from your potential for growth. The more you invest in yourself, the less time you have for envy. Your life becomes about your own progress, and the success of others becomes something to celebrate, not something to resent. Number 5, the time wasters. They steal your most valuable asset, time. Stoicism teaches us to prioritize meaningful work and relationships. Don't let them distract you from your path. Time is one of the most precious resources we have in life. It is finite, unrenewable, and once lost, can never be regained. Yet many of us spend much of our time distracted by trivial matters, wasting hours on things that do not contribute to our long-term well-being or personal growth. This is where the time wasters come in. These are the people who steal your most valuable asset, time, through endless distractions, mindless chatter, and unproductive behavior. From a Stoic perspective, wasting time is not just a mismanagement of our schedules. It's a failure to live in accordance with nature, which demands that we use our time wisely to pursue what is truly valuable in life. Stoicism teaches us to prioritize meaningful work, relationships, and pursuits, and to avoid getting sidetracked by activities or people that do not serve these goals. In this section, we'll explore why time is such a valuable asset, how time wasters disrupt our lives, and how the principles of Stoicism can help us protect our time and direct it toward what truly matters. The value of time. To understand the destructive impact of time wasters, it's essential to first grasp the value of time itself. Unlike money, which can be earned back after being spent, time is a one-way street. Once a moment passes, it is gone forever. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, reflected on this in his Meditations, noting that we should not waste time on what we cannot control, and instead, we should focus our efforts on the present moment. For the Stoic, time is an incredibly limited resource, and every moment is an opportunity for growth, reflection, and action. This is why the Stoics believe that we must align our actions with our purpose in life, dedicating our time to meaningful work and relationships. A person who spends time chasing after distractions or spending hours in fruitless pursuits is not only wasting their own time, but also missing out on the opportunity to cultivate wisdom, virtue, and self-improvement. Time is the only resource that, once spent, can never be recaptured, making it irreplaceable. This understanding of time brings a sense of urgency to how we live. We must ask ourselves, how are we spending our time? Are we focused on activities that align with our values? Or are we allowing others to hijack our time with trivialities? How time wasters disrupt your life. Time wasters come in many forms. Some might be people who constantly seek your attention, pulling you into conversations or activities that do not serve your greater goals. Others might be the subtle distractions that divert you from productive tasks, like scrolling through social media, engaging in gossip, or attending events that are neither enjoyable nor enriching. These people or activities might not seem harmful in the moment, but when accumulated over time, they lead to a significant loss of valuable hours. One of the most common ways time wasters appear is through social interactions. Some individuals are masters at monopolizing your time with endless talking, asking for favors or sharing irrelevant details of their lives that offer little value. While it's important to maintain relationships, Stoicism teaches us that not all relationships are equally valuable. There is a difference between relationships that help us grow, learn, and thrive, and those that only serve to drain our energy and waste our time. Then there are the people who bring unnecessary drama into your life, those who enjoy stirring conflict, engaging in petty arguments, or constantly seeking validation. These types of people can make you feel exhausted and distracted, leaving you with less time and energy to pursue your true goals. Their drama becomes your distraction. And instead of focusing on meaningful pursuits, you're drawn into their world of negativity. Another time waster is the habit of procrastination. When we procrastinate, we delay important tasks and push ourselves into a cycle of stress and last-minute scrambling. This, too, is a form of time wasting that holds us back from doing what matters. Procrastination often stems from fear, a lack of direction, or a failure to prioritize effectively, all of which are issues the Stoics addressed in their writings. Lastly, time wasters often take the form of unhealthy habits or routines. These are activities that provide temporary pleasure but no lasting fulfillment. Watching endless hours of television, binge-watching content on streaming platforms, or indulging in mindless entertainment. While leisure is important for relaxation, the Stoic approach emphasizes that true fulfillment comes from the pursuit of excellence, self-discipline, and meaningful engagement with the world around us. Stoic wisdom on time management. The Stoic philosophy provides a powerful antidote to the influence of time wasters. Stoicism teaches us to be intentional with our time and not let external distractions control our lives. One of the central principles of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control, the understanding that some things are within our control and others are not. We cannot control how much time we have, but we can control how we spend it. Seneca, in his essay on the shortness of life, argues that people who squander their time are effectively wasting their lives. He writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." For Seneca, the root of time wasting lies in our failure to live purposefully. If we fill our days with distractions and trivial pursuits, we miss the opportunity to lead a life of meaning. In contrast, when we are mindful of how we spend our time, focusing on activities that enrich us and contribute to our growth, we live a life that is full, even if the quantity of time is short. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of setting clear priorities. By knowing what is most important to us, whether it's our work, relationships, health, or personal development, we can more easily identify what is worth our time and what is not. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminds himself to focus on the task at hand, rejecting distractions and staying true to his purpose. For the Stoic, every moment is an opportunity to act with virtue, and the aim should always be to live in accordance with one's values. Prioritizing meaningful work and relationships. To avoid the influence of time wasters, we must learn to prioritize meaningful work and relationships. For work, this means focusing on tasks that align with our values and that contribute to our personal growth or the greater good. It's easy to get lost in the busyness of life, but true success comes from doing what truly matters, not what is simply urgent or easy. In relationships, the Stoics teach us to invest in those who support and encourage our growth, rather than those who drain our energy with negativity or superficial interactions. This doesn't mean we should cut off all social ties. Stoicism emphasizes kindness, empathy, and understanding, but it does mean that we should avoid people who constantly pull us off track or distract us from our purpose. Ultimately, the Stoic approach is about living with intentionality. Every action, every interaction, and every decision should be made with the awareness that time is fleeting. Time is our most valuable asset, and once it's gone, we cannot get it back. By protecting our time from the influence of time wasters, we can ensure that we are spending our lives in the pursuit of wisdom, virtue, and fulfillment. Number 6, the unreliable. Trust is everything. If someone repeatedly breaks it, they don't deserve your time. A Stoic surrounds themselves with reliable, honest people. Trust forms the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. In every area of life, whether we're working on a project, collaborating with others, or nurturing close friendships. Trust is the foundation upon which everything else is built. When trust is broken, it shakes the very structure of those relationships, making it difficult, if not impossible, to move forward in a productive and fulfilling way. For a Stoic, trust is especially important because they believe in surrounding themselves with individuals who align with their values. People who are honest, dependable, and who act with integrity. The Stoic is someone who values wisdom, self-discipline, and virtue, and therefore, only those who demonstrate these qualities are worthy of their time, attention, and energy. In contrast, unreliable individuals not only waste time, but also present obstacles to our personal growth and peace of mind. In this segment, we'll delve deeper into why trust is so essential, how unreliable people disrupt our lives, and how the Stoic mindset can help us navigate relationships with those who are prone to breaking trust. The importance of trust. Trust is essential to every meaningful relationship we have, both in our personal lives and in our work. It is the glue that holds relationships together and enables cooperation, support, and mutual respect. When trust is present, we can be vulnerable, share our thoughts, and work together toward shared goals. Without trust, relationships crumble, and uncertainty and doubt take their place. The Stoics understood that trust is vital to leading a harmonious life. A key tenet of Stoicism is cultivating inner peace through wisdom and virtue, and part of that peace is the ability to rely on others to be consistent and honest in their actions. When we trust the people around us, we experience a sense of security that allows us to focus on what is truly important, our personal growth and the pursuit of virtue. Trust allows us to form connections that nurture and support us, making it easier to live according to our values. However, when trust is repeatedly broken, it damages our ability to maintain peace and stability. The Stoics knew that the best way to preserve our tranquility was to build and maintain relationships with those who are reliable and honest. Having dependable people around us creates an environment where we can thrive and grow without the constant disruption of betrayal or dishonesty. How the unreliable disrupt our lives. Unreliable people cause chaos in both big and small ways. On a fundamental level, their behavior undermines the very stability of our lives. Whether it's someone who repeatedly fails to follow through on commitments, constantly cancels plans, or is dishonest about their intentions, the unreliability of others adds unnecessary stress, frustration, and confusion to our daily lives. One of the most immediate impacts of dealing with unreliable individuals is the emotional toll it takes. Every time someone breaks your trust, it chips away at your ability to feel secure and confident in the relationship. You may begin to question not just that person's integrity, but your own judgment. You might feel disappointment, resentment, or even anger, emotions that are antithetical to the Stoic path of tranquility and rationality. A Stoic knows that negative emotions such as these waste precious time and energy, which could be better spent on virtuous pursuits or self-improvement. Furthermore, the unreliability of others can lead to wasted time and lost opportunities. If someone continually fails to meet deadlines, for example, it can delay your own work or derail important projects. When you have to constantly adjust your plans or expectations due to someone else's broken promises, your own ability to make progress and maintain your focus suffers. Unreliable people drain your energy, distract you from your goals, and cause unnecessary disruption in your life. In the end, you might find yourself stuck in a cycle of waiting for them to change or hoping they will eventually live up to their promises, all the while losing precious time and resources. Stoic wisdom on trust and relationships. The Stoics placed great emphasis on surrounding themselves with people who exemplify virtue, reliability, and integrity. They understood that our relationships should serve as a support system for our personal growth, not as distractions or burdens. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "A man's worth is not measured by what he does for others, but by what he does for himself." This doesn't mean being selfish, but rather ensuring that our time and energy are invested in relationships that align with our highest values. For the Stoic, it's crucial to recognize that trust is earned over time. A single instance of dishonesty or unreliability may be an unfortunate event, but repeated behaviors show a pattern of character. A Stoic understands that it is wiser to disengage from relationships that repeatedly break trust than to continue investing in them and allowing them to undermine their peace of mind. The Stoic asks themselves, is this person contributing to my growth, or are they a drain on my energy? If the answer is the latter, it is often better to cut ties rather than allow the relationship to continue harming your mental and emotional well-being. Seneca, another key Stoic philosopher, also advised that we should not trust those who have demonstrated a pattern of unreliable behavior. In his letters, Seneca repeatedly emphasizes the importance of keeping our inner peace intact. By avoiding toxic influences, he teaches that it is better to rely on ourselves and our own judgment than to place our trust in someone who has shown a lack of integrity. In his work on anger, he discusses the idea that anger, frustration, and betrayal all stem from placing expectations in the wrong people. By setting appropriate boundaries and expectations, we protect ourselves from the disappointment of broken trust. The Stoics also remind us that it is not our job to change others. We cannot control whether someone is reliable or honest, but we can control how we respond. If someone continues to break trust despite our efforts to foster a positive relationship, the Stoic wisdom is clear. We should not allow this person to continue occupying our time or emotional energy. This is not about being vindictive or harsh, but about choosing to live a life that aligns with our values of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. Cultivating reliable relationships. The Stoic approach to trust doesn't simply focus on avoiding unreliable people, but also on cultivating relationships with those who embody reliability, honesty, and integrity. A Stoic knows that meaningful relationships are built on mutual respect and consistent actions. By surrounding yourself with people who act in alignment with their words and principles, you create a network of support that strengthens your own journey toward wisdom and virtue. Reliability, in the Stoic view, is a reflection of one's character. A person who consistently keeps their promises, acts with integrity, and fulfills their commitments contributes to a stable and predictable environment. This, in turn, allows you to focus on your own personal development, knowing that you can depend on the people around you. Stoics also emphasize the importance of leading by example. If we want to attract reliable and trustworthy individuals into our lives, we must also be reliable ourselves. We must hold ourselves to the same standards of integrity that we expect from others. By acting consistently with our own values and principles, we naturally create an environment where trust is nurtured and upheld. Number 7, the gossipers. If they talk about others, they will talk about you. A Stoic mind values integrity and truth. Never engage in gossip. It weakens your character. Gossip is a quiet destroyer of peace and trust. It thrives on spreading rumors, half-truths, and negativity about others, often without concern for the impact on the people involved. Whether it's about someone's personal life, professional failures, or mistakes, gossip serves as a subtle yet powerful way to undermine others, create divisions, and waste precious time. The problem with gossip, from a Stoic perspective, is not just that it harms others, it also diminishes the character of the person engaging in it. The Stoics placed high value on integrity, truth, and virtue. They believed that our character is defined not only by our actions, but also by our words. The Stoics understood that speaking ill of others or engaging in gossip reflects poorly on ourselves and detracts from our personal growth. It's not just a harmless pastime. It is a behavior that has the power to weaken our character and undermine the principles we hold dear. In this section, we'll explore why gossip is so damaging, why it goes against Stoic values, and how we can avoid getting caught up in it. The nature of gossip. At its core, gossip is a form of communication that focuses on talking about others behind their backs. It often involves the sharing of personal details, opinions, or rumors that are not meant to be discussed openly. Sometimes gossip can be harmless, but more often than not, it is used to criticize, mock, or belittle others. Gossip thrives in environments where trust and integrity are lacking, and where the focus is on the flaws or shortcomings of others rather than on meaningful discussion or positive action. Gossip often stems from insecurity, jealousy, or the desire to feel better about oneself. When someone is dissatisfied with their own life or feels powerless, gossip can be a way to create a sense of control by talking about others and their perceived flaws. It becomes an outlet for negative emotions, a form of escape from personal dissatisfaction. Unfortunately, this creates a toxic cycle where individuals find comfort in tearing others down, which only serves to damage their own peace of mind and personal growth. The Stoic approach to gossip is simple. Refrain from engaging in it. The Stoics emphasize the importance of speaking only when it serves a virtuous purpose, whether to educate, inspire, or communicate truth. They believed that words, like actions, should be aligned with our values and contribute to our overall development as individuals. When we gossip, we are often participating in something that serves no higher purpose than to tear down, create division, and indulge in negativity. Why gossip weakens your character. Engaging in gossip may seem like a quick way to bond with others or gain approval, but it ultimately weakens your character in several key ways. It breeds dishonesty. Gossip thrives on speculation and hearsay, not on facts. When we participate in gossip, we are often either repeating something we have heard without verifying it or exaggerating details to make it more interesting. This means that we are not speaking the truth, which is a direct violation of Stoic values. A Stoic places high importance on truth and integrity, and engaging in gossip erodes that foundation. By participating in dishonesty, even in small ways, we damage our own credibility and weaken our integrity. It fosters negative emotions. Gossip often revolves around negativity, criticizing others, making judgments, or even taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune. When we engage in such conversations, we invite negative emotions into our own minds. The Stoics taught that we should aim to cultivate positive, rational thoughts and emotions, avoiding the influence of things that cause anger, resentment, or jealousy. Gossip, however, fosters these harmful emotions and prevents us from focusing on what really matters, our own growth, well-being, and tranquility. It diminishes our respect for others. A Stoic believes in treating others with dignity and respect, regardless of their flaws or mistakes. Gossip, by its very nature, reduces people to their faults, mistakes, or shortcomings. When we gossip about others, we are not recognizing their inherent dignity and humanity. Instead, we are objectifying them, turning them into the subjects of our judgment rather than treating them with the same respect we expect for ourselves. This lack of respect not only harms the person being gossiped about, but also reflects poorly on our own character. It weakens relationships. Trust is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. When you gossip about others, you risk damaging the trust others place in you. If you are willing to talk negatively about one person, it's only a matter of time before others start wondering if you are talking about them behind their backs as well. Gossip erodes trust, and without trust, it becomes difficult to build meaningful, lasting relationships. For the Stoic, relationships are about virtue and mutual support, not about indulging in negativity or spreading rumors. It diverts focus from personal growth. Every moment we spend gossiping is a moment taken away from focusing on our own growth and self-improvement. The Stoic approach to life is centered around making the most of our time, focusing on the things we can control, our own actions, thoughts, and responses. When we engage in gossip, we divert our energy away from our own development and become distracted by the lives of others. By focusing on negative talk, we lose the opportunity to engage in meaningful activities that contribute to our well-being and growth. Stoic wisdom on silence and speech. The Stoics taught that silence and speech must be used judiciously and with purpose. Words, like actions, should be aligned with our values and contribute to the greater good. Epictetus, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, believed that we should ask ourselves before speaking, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? This simple framework helps us filter out conversations that do not serve a virtuous purpose, like gossip. The Stoics also advocated for silence as a powerful tool. Not everything needs to be said, and not every opinion needs to be voiced. By exercising silence and focusing on our inner thoughts, we avoid the trap of idle chatter and negative speech. Seneca, in his letters, emphasizes that silence can be a source of wisdom. It allows us to reflect on our thoughts and emotions before we speak, ensuring that our words align with our character and values. Additionally, Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that we should keep yourself simple, good, pure, unpretentious, a friend of justice, God-fearing, kind, full of affection, strong for your proper work. A Stoic seeks to embody these virtues in both actions and words. Instead of engaging in gossip, a Stoic focuses on promoting the well-being of others through their speech, offering words of encouragement, wisdom, and kindness, rather than indulging in negativity or judgment. The power of integrity and truth. For the Stoic, integrity is central to personal growth and living a virtuous life. Integrity means being honest in our words and actions, and holding ourselves accountable to the highest moral standards. When we refrain from gossip, we protect our integrity, maintaining a strong, virtuous character that is grounded in truth. Truth, too, is essential to the Stoic way of life. The Stoics believed that to live a life of virtue, we must seek the truth, not just about the world, but also about ourselves. Truth leads to wisdom, and wisdom is the foundation of a peaceful and fulfilled life. Engaging in gossip distorts the truth and obscures our ability to see the world clearly. It clouds our judgment and weakens our ability to pursue genuine wisdom. Number 8. The perpetual victims. They never take responsibility, always blaming others. Stoics believe in ownership. Control what you can, accept what you can't. Don't absorb their victim mentality. In life, there are always challenges. Whether it's in our personal relationships, our work, or our broader circumstances, we all face difficult situations. However, the way we respond to these challenges can vary drastically. Some people rise to the occasion, taking responsibility for their actions and seeking solutions. Others, however, adopt a victim mentality. The perpetual victims are those who are quick to blame external factors, other people's circumstances, or the world at large. Whenever something goes wrong in their lives, they never take responsibility for their own part in the situation, instead focusing on what they cannot control. From a Stoic perspective, this mindset is deeply flawed. The Stoics teach us that we should focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses, while accepting what is beyond our control with equanimity. The perpetual victim, however, rejects this fundamental Stoic lesson, clinging instead to the belief that life is happening to them, rather than recognizing that they have agency and the ability to shape their own path. In this section, we will explore why the victim mentality is so harmful, how it prevents personal growth, and why adopting a Stoic mindset of ownership and responsibility is the key to moving forward in life. The nature of the perpetual victim. The perpetual victim is someone who sees themselves as a passive recipient of life's injustices, convinced that circumstances and other people are the primary forces shaping their experiences. Instead of acknowledging their own role in the events that unfold, they prefer to focus on blaming others. This behavior often leads to a cycle of negativity, resentment, and self-pity. For the perpetual victim, nothing ever seems to go right, and everyone else is to blame for their misfortunes. There are several characteristics that define the perpetual victim. Blaming others. Perpetual victims rarely take ownership of their actions. Instead, they blame others for their failures, mistakes, or misfortunes, whether it's a difficult boss, an unfair society, or even a family member. The blame is always placed on someone or something else. Lack of accountability. They rarely look inward and assess how they may have contributed to a situation. Self-reflection is often missing, as the victim mentality allows them to avoid uncomfortable truths about their own behavior or choices. Chronic negativity. Perpetual victims often have a pessimistic view of the world. They feel powerless and trapped in their circumstances, expecting things to always go wrong. This outlook is often accompanied by feelings of helplessness and frustration. Resisting change. Because the victim mentality focuses on external factors, the perpetual victim resists taking action or making changes in their own behavior. Instead of seeking solutions or looking for ways to grow, they often remain stuck in their perceived victimhood. Entitlement. A victim mentality often goes hand in hand with a sense of entitlement, where the person expects sympathy, support, or help from others without acknowledging their own responsibility in the situation. Why the victim mentality is harmful. The victim mentality can be incredibly damaging for both the individual who adopts it and the people around them. There are several reasons why this mindset is counterproductive and toxic. It prevents personal growth. The Stoic approach to life emphasizes personal responsibility and self-improvement. Stoicism teaches that we can only control our own actions, thoughts, and emotions. When we take responsibility for our own lives, we empower ourselves to make choices that move us forward. The perpetual victim, on the other hand, relinquishes their power by blaming others. This prevents them from learning from their experiences and growing as a person. Without taking ownership of their actions or responses, they remain stagnant, trapped in a cycle of blame and victimhood. It creates a cycle of powerlessness. The victim mentality fosters a sense of helplessness. When someone constantly blames others for their problems, they deny themselves the opportunity to change their circumstances. The more they focus on what they can't control, the more powerless they feel. The Stoics, however, encourage us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and responses. By doing so, we regain agency and move forward, even in the face of adversity. The victim mentality, by contrast, locks individuals in a mindset of passivity and inaction. It harms relationships. Perpetual victims often alienate those around them. Constantly blaming others, complaining about their circumstances, and expecting others to fix their problems can create tension in relationships. Over time, friends, family members, and co-workers may grow weary of this negative energy, as they may feel that no matter how much support or help they provide, it is never enough. This can lead to isolation and a lack of genuine connection. It prevents gratitude. The Stoic philosophy encourages the practice of gratitude, even in the face of adversity. By focusing on what we have and what we can control, we can cultivate a sense of contentment and peace. Perpetual victims, however, often focus solely on what they lack or what is wrong in their lives, making it difficult for them to appreciate the positive aspects of their situations. This lack of gratitude only compounds their dissatisfaction and reinforces their sense of victimhood. It erodes mental and emotional health. When someone adopts a victim mentality, they often become trapped in negative thought patterns that contribute to stress, anxiety, and depression. By continually focusing on external sources of blame and not taking ownership of their emotions, they allow themselves to be overwhelmed by negative emotions. This constant mental strain can take a significant toll on one's well-being. The Stoic approach: ownership and acceptance. The Stoics offer a clear antidote to the victim mentality: ownership and acceptance. Instead of blaming others or external circumstances, Stoics focus on what is within their control, namely their own thoughts, actions, and responses. Ownership of your actions. The Stoic mindset encourages us to take full responsibility for our own actions and decisions. This means reflecting on our behavior, learning from our mistakes, and seeking to improve ourselves constantly. For the Stoic, personal growth comes from the ability to recognize that we have agency and the power to shape our own lives through our choices. When we take ownership, we empower ourselves to make changes, even in difficult situations. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminds himself that the only thing truly within his control is his own actions and attitude. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By focusing on what we can control, our reactions and responses, we stop feeling like victims and start feeling like empowered individuals with the ability to change our circumstances. Acceptance of what we cannot control. While Stoics encourage us to take ownership of our actions, they also teach us the importance of accepting what is beyond our control. Life is unpredictable, and we cannot always influence the events that unfold around us. A Stoic accepts this reality and focuses on maintaining their inner peace no matter the circumstances. This acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation. It means recognizing that while we cannot control everything, we can control how we respond to those challenges. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In other words, true contentment comes from focusing on what we have and what we can control, rather than fixating on external factors or things beyond our reach. 3. Developing resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, and it is a key Stoic virtue. By taking ownership of our actions and accepting what we cannot change, we develop a sense of resilience that allows us to navigate life's challenges with strength and grace. Instead of viewing every difficulty as a personal attack or an insurmountable obstacle, Stoics see challenges as opportunities for growth. Each adversity is a chance to practice wisdom, patience, and resilience, focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on problems or blaming others. Stoics focus on finding solutions. When faced with difficulty, they ask themselves, what can I do to improve this situation? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? By taking this proactive approach, Stoics avoid getting caught in the trap of victimhood. They become problem solvers rather than complainers, focusing on what they can control and leaving behind the desire to blame others. Number 9. The energy vampires. They suck the joy and motivation out of you. A Stoic knows that protecting energy is key to a fulfilled life. Distance is your best defense. We've all encountered people who seem to drain the energy from a room the moment they enter it. These individuals, often referred to as energy vampires, possess an uncanny ability to sap your enthusiasm, and even physical vitality. Their presence can feel like a heavy weight, leaving you mentally and emotionally exhausted, even after short interactions. Energy vampires might not always be malicious or intentionally harmful, but they have a significant, often invisible impact on our mental and emotional well-being. For a Stoic, energy is a precious resource. The Stoics believed that to live a fulfilling and virtuous life, we must protect our time, our mental clarity, and our emotional strength. We need energy to pursue meaningful work, cultivate positive relationships, and engage in personal growth. The energy vampires, however, seek to drain that very energy, often without realizing the toll they are taking on those around them. As a Stoic, it's crucial to understand how these individuals impact our lives and learn how to protect ourselves from their draining influence. In this section, we will explore who energy vampires are, how they negatively affect our lives, and how a Stoic can protect themselves from being consumed by their energy-draining behavior. What are energy vampires? Energy vampires are people who seem to thrive on negativity, drama, or constant emotional neediness. They often feed off the attention, sympathy, or emotional labor of others. Their presence can leave you feeling tired, stressed, or frustrated, and interactions with them may leave you mentally drained for hours or even days afterward. Energy vampires can take many forms, but they often exhibit several key traits. Chronic negativity. Energy vampires are often characterized by their pessimistic outlook on life. They consistently focus on what's wrong, what isn't working, and how things aren't fair. This constant negativity can quickly sap the energy of those around them, as they tend to bring up problems without offering solutions and seem to revel in the negative aspects of life. Victim mentality. Many energy vampires adopt a victim mindset. They see themselves as constantly at the mercy of others or external circumstances, without recognizing their own role in their difficulties. This can be draining, as they may expect others to sympathize, fix their problems, or carry the emotional weight for them. Emotional dependency. Energy vampires often have a high level of emotional neediness. They may rely on others to prop up their mood, validate their feelings, or solve their emotional problems. This constant demand for emotional support can be exhausting, especially if it feels one-sided or never-ending. Drama and conflict. Some energy vampires seem to thrive on chaos, drama, or conflict. Whether it's stirring up tension between friends, creating unnecessary problems at work, or feeding into social disputes, they often create situations that bring turmoil or strife into the lives of others. Entitlement and manipulation. Energy vampires often feel entitled to your time, attention, and emotional energy. They may manipulate others by guilt-tripping, playing on emotions, or using passive-aggressive tactics to get what they want. This can create a toxic, one-sided relationship dynamic. How energy vampires affect you. The effect of energy vampires on our lives can be subtle at first, but becomes more apparent over time. The constant emotional drain and negativity can erode our mental clarity, emotional well-being, and even our physical health. Here are some ways energy vampires impact us. Decreased motivation and productivity. When you're constantly around someone who is draining your energy, it can be difficult to stay motivated or productive. Whether it's feeling emotionally exhausted after a conversation or feeling distracted by their negativity, energy vampires can disrupt your focus and make it hard to stay on track with your goals. This can hinder your personal and professional growth, as energy is required to pursue meaningful work and make progress in life. Increased stress and anxiety. Interacting with energy vampires often comes with a sense of heightened stress or anxiety. This can manifest in various ways. Perhaps you feel tense before seeing them, or you find yourself dreading social gatherings where you know they'll be present. Their emotional demands can add to your own stress, leaving you feeling mentally and emotionally drained after each interaction. Loss of emotional balance. Energy vampires can easily upset your emotional equilibrium. They may try to manipulate your emotions, get you caught up in their problems, or make you feel responsible for their emotional state. The Stoics emphasize the importance of maintaining inner calm and emotional balance, regardless of external circumstances. However, energy vampires make it difficult to maintain that balance, often pulling you into their emotional drama and upsetting your mental peace. Toxic relationships. Prolonged interactions with energy vampires can lead to toxic relationships. These relationships are typically one-sided, where you give much more than you receive. Over time, this can breed resentment and frustration. You may begin to feel unappreciated, emotionally drained, and stuck in a pattern of unhealthy interactions. This is especially true if the energy vampire refuses to acknowledge their impact on your well-being or shows little regard for your needs. Stoic solutions. Protecting your energy. As Stoics, we recognize that our energy is a valuable resource, and we must protect it from being wasted on those who would drain it. The Stoic path encourages us to take responsibility for our own well-being, including our emotional health and personal energy. Here are some strategies Stoics use to protect themselves from energy vampires. Recognize what you can control. The Stoic approach is always to focus on what is within our control. We cannot control how others behave or the emotional energy they bring to interactions, but we can control how we respond. Recognizing that their negativity or emotional demands are not our responsibility allows us to protect ourselves from being overly affected by their behavior. We don't have to absorb their energy or allow their emotional state to dictate our own. Set boundaries. A Stoic knows the importance of boundaries. Establishing clear emotional and physical boundaries with energy vampires is essential to protecting your well-being. This might mean limiting your time with them, refusing to engage in negative or draining conversations, or simply saying no to their emotional demands. Boundaries are a way to honor yourself and maintain your peace without feeling guilty or responsible for others' emotional states. Emotional detachment. While it's natural to empathize with others, Stoics practice emotional detachment in order to maintain their inner peace. This does not mean being cold or unfeeling. Rather, it's about recognizing that we cannot control the emotions of others, and thus we should not allow their emotions to disturb our own. By practicing detachment, we can engage with energy vampires without allowing their negativity to impact our mental state. Practice self-care and rejuvenation. Stoicism teaches us the importance of taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. To preserve our energy, it's important to make time for activities that rejuvenate us and restore our emotional balance. Whether it's through meditation, exercise, time in nature, or spending time with positive, uplifting people, investing in our well-being ensures that we have the strength and vitality to deal with life's challenges, including interactions with energy vampires. 5. Distance and detachment. Sometimes the best defense against an energy vampire is distance. Stoics recognize the importance of protecting their peace and know that certain people can have a long-term negative impact on their mental health. If an individual is consistently draining and attempts to set boundaries or practice emotional detachment have been unsuccessful, it may be necessary to limit contact or remove them from your life entirely. A Stoic understands that it is far more virtuous to protect one's own energy and focus on personal growth than to maintain a relationship that is constantly harmful. Mindfulness of virtue. A Stoic sees every interaction as an opportunity to practice virtue. Even when dealing with difficult individuals, Stoics aim to embody virtues like patience, understanding, and resilience. They do not allow others to dictate their inner state. If you must interact with an energy vampire, do so with calmness and understanding, without becoming emotionally entangled in their drama. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Choose your company wisely and guard your peace fiercely. Who in your life fits these categories? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more wisdom and self-mastery.